Are you looking to study at university or college in Canada, but you're unsure about the cost? In this video, I will be covering the tuition costs to study as an international student in Canada and demonstrate how these costs can change significantly depending on what you study and where you go to school. Also, since tuition isn't the only cost to study in Canada, this video will cover typical living expenses like rent. With this information, you will be more informed to decide if studying in Canada is right for you. Welcome to Humanitas Academia, where I discuss various aspects of college and university education around the world. Please like, subscribe, and share if this information is useful. Now, let's get started. Tuition costs are often the first concern of students when they're looking to go to college or university. However, in Canada, tuition costs can vary significantly depending on the province, the school, and the program in which you want to study. The national average for undergraduate international student tuition was 38,000 Canadian dollars for the 2023-2024 academic year. This national average has steadily increased every year since 2006. I would expect this trend to continue. In Canada, tuition varies significantly by province. For example, for the 2023-2024 academic year, international undergraduate students paid on average $46,000 in Ontario, $35,000 in British Columbia, and $19,000 in Manitoba for tuition. This is because provinces control the tuition prices for both Canadian and international students. There is no national level tuition control. Therefore, average tuition can significantly vary depending on the province you choose to study in. I recommend researching the average tuition costs in different provinces and at different schools. There are useful websites for this. For example, this website shows the average undergraduate and graduate foreign student tuition by university and by province for the 2023-2024 academic year. You can also see comparisons to Canadian students. This website is linked in the description below. Note, this website uses students enrolled in arts and humanities for its comparison. Tuition costs can vary significantly depending on which subject or program you choose to study, and I will talk about this next. Tuition costs differ significantly depending on which school you attend in which province, but they also significantly differ depending on what you study. For example, if we compare architecture, engineering, education, business, and medicine, we see that on average, education is the cheapest at $26,000 a year for international students, while medicine is the most expensive at $70,000 a year. At the school level, prices will vary. For example, two different commerce programs in the same province at two different schools will vary in price. To illustrate this, we can see that to study commerce as an international student, you would pay $40,000 a year at York University and $60,000 a year at Queen's University. This variance can be attributed to many things and is a topic for another video. Similar to exploring the price differences by province, I would recommend thorough research into your program of choice at various different schools across the country in order to understand how the price may vary depending on where you go to school. While tuition costs are high for many programs for international students, the cost of living can also affect one's decision to study in Canada.
Life in Canada isn't what Anit Kaur envisioned when she came here from India. Finding an affordable place to live was the first big challenge.
Like many countries, the cost of living in Canada has increased significantly in recent years. There have been numerous news stories about international students having to live in undesirable situations to afford to continue to study in Canada. Many of the estimates for the cost of housing and food and other living expenses tend to be around $15,000 annually. However, I believe that these numbers to be incorrect or falsely representing how the situation in Canada has changed.
In 2024, the financial requirement for study permits will be raised to reflect the current cost of living. And as such, a single applicant will need to show that they have $20,635 in funds to support themselves in Canada.
As this clip shows, $20,000 is now required for the student financial requirement for study permit applications. To be clear, this is not money that is being given to the Canadian government, but it is required that students demonstrate that they have this amount of money in order to receive a study permit. This increase is to help ensure students have enough money to pay for the cost of living, namely in food and rent. Be very suspicious of online information that targets international students that suggests that average rent is as low as $400 or $800 a month. In most Canadian cities that have a large university population, rent has increased dramatically. Most estimates put the average renting price in Canada as high as $2,200 a month as of 2024. International students are also not permitted to work full-time hours off campus. Recent changes to this were implemented, and in the fall of 2024, students may work off campus 24 hours a week. This being the case, you will not be able to work full-time to cover the costs of rent. To make the best decision about which school to attend in which city, I recommend significant research into the rent rental market and the availability of housing before coming to Canada. This may require that you contact potential landlords to discuss rental costs and availability. Websites like rentals.ca will give you more detail on the availability and the cost of rent while you study in Canada, and this website is also linked in the description below. In this video, I discussed the average tuition cost for international students in Canada, how these costs may differ depending on which program and university you study, and how the cost of living may be high. But this video does not cover every aspect of the cost of going to university in Canada. For example, when you pay tuition as an international student, you may also have to pay additional fees for books or university administrative fees. Again, I recommend thorough research on university websites to know exactly what you will have to pay. There are many amazing things about going to university in Canada. The universities are typically welcoming and supportive, as well as rewarding to one's educational goals. However, it is important that any prospective international student knows exactly the cost of attending university or college, and I hope that this video provides you with the foundation to explore going to school in Canada. I wish you the best. See you in the next video.